It's 3 into the hour 12 and this is Bena Midday News coming to you live from Benab House, Atomic Junction, Medina. My name is Sharifatu Ayuba. Coming up in this afternoon's bulletin. Former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been detained by the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement over questions surrounding the status of his stay in the country. Also, the police have arrested 2 suspects for allegedly transporting a large quantity of ammunition on a bus bound to Sablugu. And in some international story, at least 22 Ethiopian migrants were killed after a lorry they were traveling in overturned in the country's northern Afar region. We bring you details of these stories shortly. Thank you for staying with us. Remember, we are streaming live on Facebook at Bena TV. Now the news in details. Former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been detained by the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement over questions surrounding the status of his stay in the country. His legal team has confirmed. According to the statement released on the matter, Mr. Ofori-Atta is currently cooperating fully with ICE, while his lawyers engage the authorities to resolve the issue as quickly as possible.
The statement explained that Mr. Ofori-Atta has a pending petition for adjustment of status as a process under U.S. law that allows an individual to remain legally in the country beyond the validity of an initial visa. His legal team says this is a common immigration procedure that expects the matter to be resolved expeditiously. The development comes against the backdrop of serious health challenges that have kept the former minister in the United States since January 2025. Mr. Ofori-Atta has been undergoing medical treatment after being diagnosed with prostate cancer. Medical sources say the diagnosis was confirmed in March 2025 following MRI scans and a biopsy that showed signs of cancer progression. He subsequently underwent a radical prostatectomy on Friday, June 13 at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Doctors described the surgery as a critical intervention after tests revealed an increased spread of cancer cells in the prostate. Sources close to the family say he had been receiving treatment and undergoing close monitoring in the U.S. for several weeks ahead of the surgery. In addition to the cancer diagnosis, Mr. Ofori-Atta has also been managing a post-COVID multi-system inflammatory response syndrome, a condition first diagnosed in February 2021, which has required ongoing medical oversight. Mr. Ofori-Atta served as Ghana's finance minister from 2017 to 2023, overseeing the economy, driving a period marked by the COVID-19 pandemic, debt distress, and negotiation with the International Monetary Fund. His stay in the U.S. has also coincided with ongoing legal troubles back home. In November 2025, the Office of the Special special prosecutor charged him and others with corruption and corruption-related offences. The case is currently at the case management conference stage. The statement stressed that Mr. Ofori-Atta remains a law-abiding individual and is working closely with U.S. immigration authorities to regularize his status while continuing his medical recovery.
The Ghana Private Road Transport Union says any adjustment to transport fares will be considered when conditions permit, even as pressures mount on operators to reduce fares in line with recent fuel prices declines. The union's position comes amid renewed calls from energy sector, think tank and industry observers for transport operators to pass on savings from lower pump prices to customers.
While fuel costs have eased in the recent pricing window, GPRTU maintains that the broader cost structure of transport operations has not changed significantly. According to the union and some commercial drivers, key operational inputs such as vehicle maintenance, spare parts, tires, lubricant, and financing costs remain elevated, limiting the immediate scope for fare reduction. These cost pressures, it argues, continue to weigh heavily on operators despite the relief from low fuel prices. Public Relations Officer of GPRTU, Abbas Imoro, insists the union has a track record of responding to favorable cost conditions and reiterates that fares will be reviewed without delay once there is sufficient evidence of sustained reductions across major cost components. He points to the May 2025 fare adjustment when transport fares were cut by 15% following a marked improvement in operating conditions, including fuel price reductions, as evidence of its willingness to act when circumstances allow. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers in recent times urged commercial transport operators, including ride-hailing platforms such as Bolt, Uber, and Yango, to begin reviewing and adjusting their fares in line with the recent reduction in ex-pump fuel prices. COPEC's year-on-year assessment further shows that consumers are recording significant savings under the current pricing window, with petrol and diesel prices down by between 3 Ghana cedis and 4 Ghana cedis per litre compared with January 2025.
Now, away from that, police have arrested a 42-year-old commercial bus driver, Mohammed Zali, and his mate, Mohammed Jabir, for allegedly transporting a large quantity of ammunition on a bus bound for Savlugu. The suspects were arrested on Tuesday, January 6, 2026, at about 7 p.m. when officers on duty at the Kantansua Sankare police barrier intercepted a Kia Grand Bed bus with registration number AK 130-1309-21.
The bus, which was traveling from Accra to Tamale and onward to Savlugu, was stopped for a routine inspection when officers became suspicious that it might be conveying prohibited items. Acting on the instructions of the divisional commander, the police conducted a thorough search of the vehicle. The search uncovered a fertilizer sack containing 1,050 rounds of AAA and BB cartridge ammunition concealed among passengers' luggage. Upon interrogation, the driver reportedly told the police that the sack had been handed to him at the bus terminal by an unidentified individual as a parcel, and that it was to be delivered to a person he knew only as Aboye in Tamale. The bus was immediately impounded, while the ammunition was seized as exhibits. The driver and his mate are currently in the police custody assisting with investigation, as police work to identify the source and intended recipient of the ammunition. Police have assured the public that further updates will be provided as investigations progress.
The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has withdrawn its recognition of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana with immediate effect, citing the continued use of an unearned doctoral title by the Institute's Chief Executive Officer, Eric Oduro Osei. The decision follows what GTEC describes as a serious breach of quality assurance protocols after a recent media profile of Oduro stated that he held a doctorate in political economy despite earlier directives from the commission instructing him to stop using the academic title doctor.
In a letter dated January 8, 2026, and signed by Director General of GTEC, Professor Ahmed Jinapor Abdullahi, the Commission directed ICAG to cease operations as a recognized institution, declaring that all certificates issued by the institute from that date would be considered unrecognized. GTEC noted that it had previously, in a letter dated October 13, 2025, investigated Oduro Osei's academic credentials and found that the doctoral certificate he submitted from the Swiss Management Center and Universidad Central de Nicaragua were invalid and unrecognized under Ghana's tertiary education framework. According to the Commission, its investigations revealed multiple inconsistencies and anomalies in the academic records provided, including the absence of credit hours, unclear grading structures, unverifiable course clarifications, and uncertainty surrounding the relationship between SMC and UCN in awarding the degrees. The Commission further stated that it was unable to reconcile conflicting claims that Oduro Osei held doctoral qualification from the University of London, SMC, and UCN, noting that no variable documentation was provided to substantiate any of the claims. Despite this directive, GTEC said it recently became aware of a publication profiling Oduro Osei in connection with appointment as ICAG's Chief Executive Officer, in which he was described as holding a doctorate in political economy. GTEC indicated that its decision to withdraw recognition of ICAG was reversible provided appropriate corrective measures were taken by Oduro Osei and the institute to address the breach. It also directed its Director of Corporate Affairs to list ICAG among unrecognized institutions for public information. The development comes just days after ICAG announced Mr. Oduro Osei's appointment as Chief Executive Officer effective January 5, 2026. In a statement to members, the institute described him as a seasoned chartered accountant, lawyer, and governance expert, stating that he holds a doctorate in political economy alongside other academic and professional qualifications.
Well, on this note, we take a quick turn. We'll be back with business and more.
It's back again. It's bigger and better. Brace yourselves for the third edition of the biggest pre-Ramadan fair in town. It's the Baina Trade Connect 2026. 2 days of endless sales and unmatched vibes. Mark your calendars on the 14th and 15th February 2026 at Zurak Park, Libya Cortez, Medina from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. each day. Come trade, come connect, come shop and have fun. To book a stand, contact 053-948-7757. Baina Trade Connect 2026. See you there.
Each Saturday on Baina TV, don't miss Al Amurangari, your weekly window into the stories shaping our nation. From the biggest political headlines of the week to the social issues affecting every life, we bring clarity, context, and fearless conversation. Meet King Abdul Jalil, the king of politics, and featuring the best minds in the political space. This is where power, policy, and the people meet. Al-Amurangari, Saturdays, 8 a.m. only on Baina TV.
You're welcome back. If you just tune in, you're watching Baina Midday News on Baina TV. Now, moving on to some business story. The Ghana reference rate, a key benchmark used by commercial banks to price loans, has fallen marginally for January 2026. Data from the Ghana Association of Banks shows the rate dropped from 15.9% in December 2025 to 15.68% effective January 7, 2026. The decline was driven by improvement in key indicators used to calculate the GRR, including the monetary policy rate, treasury bill rates, and interbank market rates.
In December 2025, the GRR fell to 15.9% following a 350 basis points reduction in the monetary policy rate to 18% and a slight decline in treasury bill rate. In November 2025, the GRR had increased slightly to 17.96% from 17.86%, influenced by small rises in treasury bill rates from 10.50% to 10.67%, and interbank rate, which edged up from 20.93% to 21%. October 2025 saw the GRR drop by 2 percentage points from 19.86% in September, continuing a steady downward trend throughout the year. The rate, which stood at 29.72% in January 2025, rose marginally to 29.96% in February, then steadily declined to 19.67% in August. The latest reduction could lead to slightly lower borrowing costs and interest rates for commercial bank loans. Loans contracted in December 2025 are likely to be benchmarked on the new GRR, meaning interest payments on new loans should be lower than those in November. Borrowers with fixed-rate loans are unaffected, while those on variable-rate agreements may see small adjustments depending on their bank's pricing model. The decline comes as businesses continue to face tight credit conditions due to a liquidity squeeze driven by measures to curb inflation and stabilize the economy. The latest monetary policy report shows average lending rates have dropped from 26.6% to 24.2%, reflecting an easing credit environment. The Bank of Ghana also noted declining money market yields, with the 91-day Treasury bill rate falling from 13.4% in July to 10.3% in August 2025. Introduced in 2017 by the Bank of Ghana and the Ghana Associations of Banks, the GRR provides a transparent benchmark for determining lending rates. The first GRR set in April 2017 was 16.82%. Developed after extensive consultation, the GRR replaced the old base rate model to provide a consistent and open framework for loan pricing and remains a central guide for interest rate decisions across Ghana's financial sector.
And in some news beyond our borders, at least 22 Ethiopian migrants were killed and more than 60 were injured after a lorry they were traveling in overturned in the country's North Afar region. Local authorities said Ethiopia is one of the main departure points for the eastern route by which people migrating leave the Horn of Africa in search of work in wealthier Gulf countries.
Thousands of African migrants take the route across the Red Sea, mostly from Djibouti to Yemen in search of work as laborers or domestic workers. The accident occurred early on Tuesday in Semera in the Afar region, several hundred kilometers west of Djibouti. There were 22 deaths and 65 injuries, according to statement. A photo published on the Afar authorities' Facebook page showed an overturned truck, 8 passengers compartment, and rear section destroyed. There were 890 deaths and disappearances along the eastern route between January and September 2025. According to the International Organization for Migration, IOM, more than double the 421 deaths recorded during the same period in 2024.
And in sports, the Confederation of African Football has announced the date for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON draw. The draw for this year's edition of the tournament is scheduled for Thursday, January 15 in Rabat, as 16 teams gear towards the Continental Football Festival.
The Black Queens are among 16 teams that will be competing for the top prize as well as a spot at next year's Women's World Cup to be staged in Brazil. The draw will also mark a historic achievement in the history of the competition, as it will be the first edition to feature 16 teams since its inception. The draw will take place at 13 o'clock GMT. It will also be the second consecutive time Morocco is hosting the competition, having done so for the 2024 edition, which was won by Nigeria. Ghana will be in pot 1 for the draw, having finished 2025 in third position as far as ranking the continent is concerned. All 16 teams qualified for the tournament are Morocco, Algeria, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, Mali, Nigeria, Senegal, South Africa, Tanzania and Zambia. The Black Queens finished with a bronze medal in the last edition, beating South Africa on penalties in the third place playoff game.
And that's all time will permit us. Log on to our website www.vainamultimedia.com for more news. My name is Sherifatu Ayuba. Have a good afternoon.